Hey guys, real quick before we get into the video, make sure you like this video. This is my second channel. My first channel is Christian Robertson. I would appreciate if you guys would go over there and hit subscribe real quick, but also subscribe to this channel as well. I'm going to be posting all my podcasts, all my podcast clips, a lot of other content that I don't want to post on the other channel. I'm leaving that exclusively for vlogs. So please like the video if you like the video, if you like the interview. Go watch some more if you like them, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also, if you do like the video, leave a comment down below. Let us know that you like it. That way YouTube also puts it out there and shows the other audiences and stuff that, hey, this is a channel worth watching. So I appreciate you guys so much. I could not do it without you guys. I want to keep putting out videos, so if you could go do that, that would be amazing. Thank you so much.
Christian, what's up, buddy?
What's going on, brother?
How you doing?
Good. How's your day going?
Oh, it's going good, man. Just left the gym, got some boxing rounds in, feeling good. How's your day going?
Pretty good, man. Worked a little bit last night and then just rested a little bit today. Got some Dutch Bros.
Okay. Dutch Bros is nice. They have some cute girls working there?
Yeah, I always feel a little weird talking to the girls at Dutch Bros just because it's like you never know how they really feel. They're all they're forced to be nice, that's what they get paid for.
That's very true. You make a valid point.
But you probably enjoy that. You hang around like strippers and stuff a lot, so you get it.
Whoa, what are you trying to say? I don't hang out with strippers.
Man, it doesn't.
I get regular girls, man. Man, what type of narrative are you trying to run right now?
Me? You're the one that's showing that narrative on Instagram.
Yeah, but who says those are strippers?
Oh, those are just your friends?
Those are just regular girls. Yeah, my side chicks. My side chicks.
Oh, that's funny, man. No, man. So how's everything going? It's been. You've been a little radio silent. I think you've done 2 interviews in the last month and a half.
Yeah, pretty much, man. Haven't been doing too much on the media front. In this sport, you got to really take time to enjoy your life and take some time off. And I wanted to let everybody know that, especially the UFC, it's a message to them that they're on my time. I'm not snapping. I'm not doing things when they tell me to snap my fingers. When they say jump, I'm not saying how high. I'm saying, hey, you're going to be on my time. I'm the best in the world. I've earned this right to be in this position. So, I just took some time to myself. I was chilling in Oregon a little bit, actually, for like 2 weeks with my high school, Thurston High School. And it was really good to, get back and hang out with the kids, see them compete and see them put in the hard work day in, day out at the high school. And, that stuff inspires me. So I feel like, I'm a new man. I'm reinvented and I'm reinvigorated. And, I'm excited for what's ahead, and that's this summer and most likely getting a rematch.
So is that, you think that's next for you? You think Kamaru's what they're working towards right now?
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much controversy in the fight that it doesn't make sense to not do it again because, just all the momentum swings in the fight. I kick him in the liver and he's ready to quit. And then he gets a 5-minute break to recover when he was about to fold up like a lawn chair.
Yeah.
And then, the eye poke, he takes another 5 minutes. It's a momentum change. And then obviously the stoppage is complete horseshit. I was completely coherent. I was intelligently defending myself. I fight to go kill or be killed. And if you don't kill me, then I'm still in the fight. And especially when I'm up on the scorecards 3-1 in the 5th round with, 40 seconds left in the championship. So Mark Goddard's a fucking clown. The guy sucks at reffing, and he should honestly never ref another UFC fight ever again. And that's that. So, I want my rematch, and I don't want to have to fight 2 guys in my rematch next time because my last fight when I fought Marty Fake Newsman, I was fighting 2 guys. I was fighting the ref and Marty Fake Newsman. Next time, it's going to be mano y mano, me versus Marty Fake Newsman, and I promise you it's going to be a completely different fight.
So you talk about like it being a completely different fight. Is there a game plan that you tried to execute in that fight that maybe didn't go your way? Because you both kind of shied away from the wrestling. I've watched the fight a couple of times. I don't think there was any takedown attempts. Is that something you think you would change in the rematch? Is that something that you want to do a little bit differently or maybe change up?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd switch it up next time. I just was getting the better of the hands. I was winning the striking exchanges. I was catching him. I wobbled him on his feet probably 3 or 4 times. and I wasn't able to finish, but I was close to finishing it multiple times until he switched the momentum and took breaks. But besides that, I was winning all the rounds on the feet, so I didn't feel like I needed to wrestle. But if we fought again, I'd definitely make him, get into some wrestling exchanges, make him fill those arms up with blood, so he's got all that lactic acid in his arms, and it would just slow him down. I know it would, and I know I have bigger heart and better scrambles in the wrestling department. There's a reason he's a D2 scrub, and I was a D1 All-American. So, next time it's going to be a completely different fight. And, dude, people don't even realize, man, like, I'm not here to I'm not making excuses, like, you wrestle for Oregon State. So, like, we're kind of like a family. It's a little bit different dynamic, like talking to you. But, I haven't really told anybody, but, like, the UFC was preparing meals for me all fight week, and like I ended up getting really sick off one of their meals. I think they didn't cook the chicken very good, and I got food poisoning like 2 nights before the fight. I'm puking like 30 times, like literally 30 times. And I was like, fuck, I told my manager, I was like, Dan Lambert, man, I'm gonna have to pull out of the fight, man. He's like, no, you can't pull out. You can't. You're the main event. You can't ruin this for the UFC. You just need to go through with it. And, I just ended up going through with it, but I didn't feel my best. So, that kind of played into the decision not to wrestle because I didn't feel strong. I didn't feel like, my typical, like 100%, I'm ready to go. Like, we're going to get into a fight, it's like I was holding back a little bit because I knew, I was puking, my liver, my intestines were all messed up, and I wasn't at full strength. And so what I'm trying to say is that I was at my worst day and Marty Fake Newsman was on his best day and I still beat him. And so you can imagine what's going to happen in the rematch when I'm at my best and he's at whatever level he's at. And I'm not fighting against 2 guys. It's going to be a completely different outcome.
Yeah. No, and I don't think that sounds – I don't think that's making excuses at all. If anybody can say that, it's you because I think you are renowned as the guy that puts on the pace. Like, everybody knows, like, if you want to look at somebody that has cardio in the UFC, it's Colby Covington. You are the guy. And wrestling is the most – cardio detriment, like it takes the most out of you as far as cardio goes in a fight. And just like the times I've sparred and everything, like wrestling's the hardest part, especially if somebody can stuff a takedown and you have to use all your energy and then somebody just shuts it all down. That's the worst.
That's the worst, man. And that's why a lot of MMA fighters, they don't want to train it because wrestling's just hard. Flat out wrestling is tough. It's very it takes a lot of repetitive motions to go up and down. It's just hard. You're getting up, you're using your back muscles, using your legs, it's just your whole body. And people don't want to do that. They want the easy way. And that's how it is in life too. They're looking for the easy way. They don't want to go through, wrestling grind like us. So, that's what separates us. But, I also got to thank my sponsor, Bang Energy, because, without Bang Energy, that's how I get my good cardio. That they call me the cardio king for a reason. That's because Bang Energy. Absolutely,
man. Yeah, I don't know. Is this, you can tell me if this is a theme in your gym, but just the gyms I've been in, whatever day wrestling is, that's the least amount of people, and whatever day sparring is, that's the most amount of people.
It used to be like that, but it's really changed in recent years. I think people really want to come to the wrestling class because they know they need to get better there. They know that they suck, and they know that they don't want to end up in a fist fight on their back, and then they're helpless, then they can't do anything. And that's the worst thing I could ever imagine is being on your back in a fight. I don't know, because I've never been taken down and no one can take me down. So it's different for me. But for those guys, I can't imagine what it's like going through their head, man.
Yeah, that's got to be not having that type of control. That's to walk into a fight knowing that at any moment you could be the one getting taken down and put on your back. I think that's got to eat at people. That's a scary thing.
I know who it really eats at. It eats at Journeyman George Masvidal, aka Street Judas. He doesn't know how to wrestle, plain and simple. You can go look it up on YouTube. I used to ragdoll him in our apartment for like 2 hours straight, like just taking him down, like put it like pinching on his face and stuff. Like, do something. What are you gonna do? And mount, just like slapping him and shit, like treating him just like my complete bitch. So. I can't imagine, what that feels like. But for him, Journeyman, Street Judas, Journeyman George Masvidal, he's the BMF champion, but really it stands for broken mediocre fighter. That's what BMF stands for. So
what happened with that relationship? Like, why has that gone so? Because he came out here with you and wrestled with us a little bit and trained. What was that, like 3 or 4 years ago? And so how does that all work out?
Yeah, the relationship changed. Obviously, I brought him out to Oregon State. I considered him family. He was a brother of mine, and we lived together for a year and a half. So, I brought him into Oregon State to get help to work on his wrestling, and he got a lot better from it. But, that relationship really broke up when I passed him up, and I was doing better than him. I won a world title. He's never won a world title, and that made him jealous, and he wanted to distance himself from me, but. He did it in the wrong way. He was kind of throwing shade at me in interviews. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to let you throw shade at me, and I'm not going to say something back, dude. Like, I mean, we know what's happened in training. Like, don't act like you're this hardcore badass fighter. He keeps saying, like, in the interviews, oh, when I'm seeing him, blah, blah, blah. Oh, when you see me, what are you going to do, dude? You've never done anything to me before. What are you going to do now? You're going to intimidate me? I'm a pro fighter. I'm a world champion UFC fighter. What are you possibly going to do to me? Like, so – it's too bad, man. It sucks that it had to go that way, but it's a lesson for kids today because business is cutthroat, and everybody's trying for that top spot. They want the most amount of money in business, and they'll do whatever it takes to do. There's snakes in the grass, and once the grass gets trimmed, the snakes get their heads cut off, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to cut the snake's head off in Journeyman George Masvidal.
Now, are they trying to make him? Are they trying to get him to fight Kamaru, or do you think that's going to happen? How do you feel like that whole thing is going to shake out?
To be honest, I think that thing is going to shake out. Like, they were trying to make that fight, but I think that George is going to ask for too much money. He thinks he's worth more than he is, and if you look at his record, he's 5-5 in his last 10 fights, or maybe 6-5 now, because and he's like 3-3 in his last 6 fights. I mean, he's an average middle of the road fighter. He's really not worth that much, but he thinks he's worth a lot because, he had lightning in a bottle. He has some hype on him. So he's going to try and capitalize off the hype. And to be honest, he's probably going to price himself out because he wants to fight Conor McGregor. He doesn't want to fight me, or he doesn't want to fight Marty Fake Newsman, guys that are wrestlers that can expose him, So I don't think they're going to fight. And I think I'm going to get my rematch this summer in July, International Fight Week for the UFC welterweight world title. And that's going to be that. I'm going to, it's going to be a completely different story, dude. It's just a completely different outcome. I'm going to be, firing on all cylinders. It's not going to be a guy that's, puking 2 days before, a guy that's fighting the ref and the fighter, a guy it's going to be equal fucking playing field. And it's going to be a different story because, I know what I need to work on. I know the things that, the corrections that need to be made and the adjustments. And there's just so much improvement and growth to be made. And, that happens every single day. Only at American Top Team, the world's best MMA gym, Christian.
We got one out here in Oregon now, baby.
No way.
That's where Chael and I train. ATT.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Man.
I know Uncle Chael. He was just on the podcast about a month ago. So.
Okay, when you see him, you got to tell him I said, "What up, man? Love my Uncle Chael. Protecting the mean streets of fucking Westland, Oregon."
I feel you, brother. Oh shoot, where was I? Oh, did you Oh, do you see George in the gym ever? Is it George or Jorge? You would know. I don't. I hear it go both ways.
To be honest, I don't know what it is. He likes to go by George. He thinks that when people call him Jorge, it sounds too Spanish, and he doesn't want to identify with his Spanish language for some weird reason. So, yeah, it's George.
And do you guys see each other in the gym? How does that work out? Because he's still at ATT, isn't he?
Yeah, he's still at ATT, and I see him occasionally. He's there, and sometimes he'll scream and he'll shout, but he'll only do it when coaches are around and he knows we're going to get separated, man. He's not going to do it when we're face to face and it's one-on-one, man. I mean, you wouldn't do it either if you're talking about going up against the best fighter in the world.
Yeah. It's like, have you ever seen that video of the dogs that are barking at the fence, like at each other? And then the fence just starts going and they try to stay behind the fence. Same thing. Same situation.
Same exact situation. I mean, he's yelling from all the way across the gym. If he wanted to yell, if he really wanted to do something, he would just do something. He would run up, and there'd be no questions. We would handle it. But I'm a professional, man. I would never mess with my gym, American Top Team. Those are sacred grounds, dude. The owner of American Top Team, my agent Dan Lambert. I mean, the guy's a wizard. He's the godfather of MMA. I mean, everybody knows the guy. He should have bought the UFC back in the day, but he passed on it because he just wanted to have a team and he didn't want there to be a conflict of interest because he just loves fighting and he loves having guys that represent his team that he can go to the fights, And I take a lot of pride in defending Dan Lambert's honor, and I would never mess with his gym or do anything inside of it. I'm a businessman, man. I fight for business, man. This is something that changed my life, man. I got into this from wrestling, from Oregon State, obviously, to change my life and better my family's life. And I'm not going to do anything to jeopardize that. We fight for a living, man. We're professional cage fighters. If these guys want to fight, man, we can fight in the cage. Like, why don't these guys want to fight in the cage and get paid for it? Like, you see where the logic is with these guys these days?
So with all that, obviously you started with wrestling. How is just being a professional, how is your like mindset on fighting shifted? Like, you do have to be cautious, because if you get in a fight, like if you're at a party and somebody starts talking, like if you're in college, it's a little different than you being a world champion, how you handle that situation. Or is it the same?
Yeah, it's a little different,
Because we still have pride. I mean, there's still, and people say some things, and
yeah, I have pride, but dude, I have such good control of my body, control of my mind, and that's what's important in fighting. Is you need very good control of your mind, and I'm able to not let situations like that affect me. I no sell it. They call it, it's a pro wrestling term. Have you ever heard the term no sell?
yeah.
Yeah, it's you got to no sell it, man, because nothing good's going to come out of it. Either one, you're going to end up in jail with a big old charge because first off, you're a wrestler and that's assault with a deadly weapon, and second off, it's like you're going to mess your whole entire career up and throw it down the drain for one night to because your pride and your ego. Man, I can let my ego go and I can just swallow the pill and walk away and be the bigger man, and that's what it's all about, is being the bigger man. So. The thing with me is, I'm not putting myself in situations like that where, it's going to be, it could be a fight type situation, where we're drinking and guys are trying to get tough or this and that. I don't do those type of things, man. I live a pretty good lifestyle, and, I stay committed to the grind, and, places that I go are usually by invite only or VIP. So I'm not going anywhere unless people are taking care of me.
Yeah, for sure. So like growing up and stuff, did you ever get in any fights or anything? Has that been like you were always like kind of interested in MMA, and like wrestling was like an outlet to get some of that out of the way, or was it just like, no, MMA is what I want to do next, but don't have any experience?
No, big time, dude. I was getting in fights in elementary school, and like they wanted to kick me out, and they were always calling my mom, and my mom's like, "You gotta stop fighting. I'm getting you into karate and wrestling. Just stop fighting." And dude, all the way through middle school, high school, at Thurston High School, man, I was getting in street fights. We right after school, the bell rings, we're literally jumping out of our seats in the classroom to run to the park to get in a street fight. And dude, people were hyping these fights up, man. It was so funny. I think they were even taking like side action, like, who wants $5 on Colby? Who wants $5 on Bryce? I was fighting this kid Bryce, and dude, it was so fun. I used to get in so many street fights, and then eventually, like, my mom was just like, dude, you gotta stop fighting at the park, Colby. You can make money fight as a professional. Just do it as a professional. Just leave it, be a professional, and handle your business in the cage. And then that's when I started training MMA along with wrestling when I was in high school, and at college I was still training jiu-jitsu and boxing, and I knew as soon as I was done with college I wanted to go into MMA because as a wrestler, man, there's no money to be made. Yeah. Like, unless you're 1 in a billion, dude, like, yeah, it doesn't happen. You can't monetize off it. So, yeah, I knew honestly my style of like wrestling translated better to MMA anyways. I was, a guy that could push a pace. I was a guy that, liked to be flashy. I was a guy that, was an athlete and athletic. So, my skill set translated really good to MMA, and I'm just a fighter in that inside. I love to fight. I enjoy it. The adrenaline rush of it is so much fun, and I just went right into MMA after college. American Top Team recruited me down. Dan Lambert, dude, he gave me a fucking house to live in and food money. So like coming out of college, as a broke, college student with student debt, it's like, oh, I get a free place to live and free food money. All I have to do is focus on training. It was just the easy transition, and the rest is history. Now we're going to leave our legacy.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Speaking of no selling, what do you think of Michael Chiesa's call out towards you?
Who is she?
Michelle?
Never heard of her.
Somebody wrote it on my notes for me, my producer, so I thought I'd ask about it. But what advice would you? Okay, so somebody going, out of college, maybe not knowing what to do, and they want to do MMA. How did you go about that? What did you do during college, and like what advice would you give somebody that wants to that go down that route as a wrestler or any type of specialty?
I would say the most important thing is to find a very good gym where you mesh with the coaches and the training partners, because, that's the single most important thing, is finding a gym where you can grow and you can evolve into a good fighter and you can have a good career out of it, make a lot of money and set yourself up for forever. So, I'd say the first important thing is find a good gym where you can call it home, and
Hmm.
that's where you're going to make your career. And that's, you're going to find out right away if you're a fighter and you're going to make it far or not, because when you start training with those guys over a certain course of time, you're going to see how you do. And if you're just not hacking it, it's just, maybe MMA is not for everybody. So not everybody has it in them to push through the pain and all the hurt that goes on with MMA. So and then obviously, but once you find a gym, you got to find an agent and a manager, someone who's going to get you the professional fights and build your record and resume, so the UFC or the Bellator or the whoever else will look at you and potentially take you as their fighter. So find a good gym, find a good manager, and then obviously most important is never stop believing in yourself, man. Never lose faith, and who cares what anybody else thinks? The only thing that matters is that you go out and create your own destiny.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously, like for me being in college, like people will ask, like, "Oh, what do you want to do with your degree?" And it's like I don't want to do anything with that degree. I want to get a degree, like that's it.
Yeah.
And people push you to get a resume and stuff like that, and I have no problems with that. And I mean, I probably will set up a resume, but it just seems like it takes away from Plan A, And I don't know. I don't know what I mean. I feel like I'm willing to sleep in my car to pursue a dream. Is that the same? You feel like a fighter has to have that mindset if they want to be successful?
They have to, man, and they have to endure those tough times. There was times where, I couldn't afford anything out of college for like 3-4 years, and I wasn't making any money fighting, because early on you make maybe $500 for your first pro fight, maybe $700 for your second pro fight. So, I was riding my bike and skateboards to the gym like a mile away in the rain, and but it didn't matter. I was going to find a way to get it done, and if you want something bad enough and that's your dream and you believe in your dreams and you never give up on your dreams, you work really hard for your dreams, man, you can accomplish your dreams, and nothing's going to stand in the way. Not even if you have to stay in your car.
Do you still enjoy it? Do you enjoy MMA? Do you enjoy fighting? Is that the biggest reason you do it? Is because you just like it?
I think for me, it's really tough to explain what it is. I think it's just something kind of that's inside of me. It's a passion that I'm passionate about. I love to compete, and I'm the ultimate competitor. So, I don't know if I love it. I can't say I don't know if I do love it, because it's just, dude, it's such a political game. There's so much bullshit that goes on behind the scenes that nobody knows about, and it's just like it takes your love away from it. It's like something that I just wanted to do for love, like in wrestling. We showed up at
Yeah.
tournaments and
Yep.
we put it all on the line and this and that. It was just for glory, personal glory. But now it's like there's so much money on the line. It's just it's very political, and people and the companies are playing favorites, and it's corrupt, man. Look at my last fight, dude. I had to deal with so much bullshit calls, and it takes the love away from it. But you keep doing it because you're passionate about it, and you're not going to let anybody tell you otherwise.
Yeah, and you're pretty known for being an entertainer. Do you think that is how it should be? Do you think? I mean, do you like that it's set up that way? I mean, you just talked about politics, but that the entertainers get the big fights, or do you think it should be like every other sport, the competitors that show up that are most deserving get it?
Yeah, see, the thing is that this isn't really a sport. This is a circus. This is I don't even know how to explain it. It's not a sport. If it was sport, they'd go by rankings. They would do this and that. If you win the AFC championship, you're going to the championship game. It's not like that in UFC. I won the interim championship, and they didn't let me fight for the defending championship. So they just do whatever they want as a business. And what separates it and doesn't make a sport is there's no union and there's no act. We don't have like an Ali act where there's a split the revenue right down the middle. You got the fighter and the promoter equal pay. It's not like that in the UFC. They're taking 90% of the money and they're leaving 10% for the fighters to fight for, and really that 10%'s for the guys up top that are making the money. So the guys are fighting for that top paycheck and to be the top guy. And let's be honest, man, if you want to put on fights, exciting fights, and entertain people outside the cage, and make people want to interested in you and want to watch you because you have a personality, then you're going to get more money. People are disinterested in some people, and they don't want to watch those people fight. And if you don't get people interested in you, whether they love you or hate you, because it's the same thing. If they love you, they're tuning in to watch you because they want to see you win. If they hate you, they're tuning in because they want to see you lose. So either way, just get them to love you or hate you. Make them have a reaction about you, and you're going to get paid the top dollar.
Yeah, I love your story because you talked about it on Candace Owens, and I think one more podcast. But you just talked about where your career was and how everything was going, and I feel like a lot of fighters they complain about that situation. They'll say, "Well, UFC is not promoting me," or whatever, and I just feel like there's not a lot of action taken. Like if you want to be promoted, like promote yourself, like take the initiative, and I feel like obviously I don't necessarily agree with everything you've said or done, but you took a stand and you said, no, I'm not going to complain about people not promoting me. I'm going to do my thing and I'm going to be marketable and promotable.
Yeah, and the UFC, they tell you that you need to be a self promoter, and if you want that top carrot, then you need to go out there and earn it yourself. We're not going to give you anything, and people know that. But the thing is, with most fighters, they don't want to put it all on the line because they don't want to have to deal with the backlash. They don't want to put all the marbles in the middle in case they don't get all the marbles, then they're going to feel like an idiot. So I'm not afraid to put it all on the line. Most of these fighters are, and going back to there is some things that I know a lot of people don't agree with that I do, but that's we all have different opinions and we all believe different things. It doesn't make one better than the other and doesn't make one right or the other. But, a lot of things that I do are within truth and there's a lot of truth to it. And, I'm not out here making lies or doing things that are complete lies. There's always a realm of truth to everything I do. And, I just try and be real and be honest. I'm doing this for business, man. This is marketing and promotion. And if people don't understand the show business side of that, that's their problem, not mine.
Now, did you think when you went down that road, like the MAGA route and supporting Trump and going to the extreme with that, did you think it was going to lead to everything it has led to? Like, did you foresee this? Did you think, good and bad, like the backlash and then obviously the relationship you now have with the Trumps?
I knew that there was a possibility. I've always supported them, and people have tried to make me be quiet about it and not talk about it. Don't bring politics into fighting. Even my mom would tell me, don't bring politics into fighting, this and that. I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to stand up for what I believe in. Like, I don't care what people think of me. If they judge me for just because what I believe in and what I say and what I support, then that's messed up, dude. I'm not judging them for what they believe. I believe that everybody is entitled to their own opinion, and just because you believe your opinion, I'm not going to judge you for that. We can agree to disagree on that topic and still talk about something else. But people get so in their feelings about me supporting the president and supporting, the MAGA movement that, they can't get past that. And they're in their feelings. And, it's just they need to stop being snowflakes.
Isn't it so crazy how you can support one side, but you can't support the other without getting the backlash you do? And it's not because more people support it. It's just because the few people that do are they're just so willing and able to give that backlash. And I feel like it's super hypocritical because anytime you say that, you say, oh, you can't do this or that, it's like you're completely, or you should agree with me. It's like, but you're blatantly disagreeing with me. It gets annoying, and especially, out here in Oregon, it's the worst state possible for that.
I know. That's why I'm probably going to come back and run for, senator or something over there. I'm going to represent Oregon, in the political level. And we need to drain, the swamp needs to be drained. It's like I'm going to be real and I'm going to be honest, and I'm not going to be hypocritical like those people. Yeah, they can have their opinion. They can agree on something, but, I also am going to have my stance, and, I'm going to hold true to it. Like look at everything that's being done. Look at the facts. And, if you can't face the facts, and you want to blatantly, just try and make up lies, like that's what the fake news is for. And I'm here to stop that.
Yeah. And obviously you're very outspoken about it, but in your personal life, do you get in any conversations like this that are, not as heated, or maybe there's a lot of rational thought going on with people on the other side?
It's to be honest, no. It's because it's tough. People
Yeah.
really they really hold their stance on that position, and it's just sad that like if someone was wearing a hat that was supported, the Democrats, I'm not gonna like go slap that hat off and be like, oh, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
That's what people do to me. Like I wear the hat like in downtown Manhattan for like media days before my fights, and people are trying to slap my hat off, say that fucking hat's disgusting. It's a symbol of hate. I'm
Crazy.
like, what? Symbol of hate, dude. It's a symbol of unity. It's a symbol of love, man. It's a symbol of winning, and our country's doing better than it's ever done. Like, look at the facts, man. You want to look at little tiny things, and they don't really ever have facts to support any of the evidence that they try and opinionate on. But they're in their feelings, and that's what it goes back to.
Yeah. No, it is. I mean, people have done that here. I had a teammate, I think last year or 2 years ago, that would wear it around campus, and he was a Mexican guy, so like a guy that you would not would normally, a lot of people from Mexico do not align with Trump, and people would come up, slap the hat off of him, and say stuff like that, and I feel like if it happened on the other side, there would just be such an uprise. It wouldn't happen. It's almost like the law, like people can be above the law at some degree. And
exactly, it's like, dude, man, there's laws in place for a reason. Like, stop, like you're not allowed to invade my space and touch me. Like, that's assault. You can't just come up to me and assault me in the streets. Like, I'm a professional fighter. I'm a cage fighter. Like, these are lethal Bugatti hands. I can't just go up to someone and put these hands on anybody because they have a different opinion than me.
Yeah.
No, that's not right. But that's you never see. Like, you see the Antifa doing that type of shit in downtown Portland and all over the place, and you'll never see that from the Republican side, because there's just a little bit more class there.
Yeah, no. I mean, if somebody, rule one, if somebody gets in your space in an aggressive way, you have to defend yourself in that situation. And it's just so crazy because I feel like somehow, some way, like let's say I walked around with a MAGA hat on and somebody came up in my bubble and tried to slap it off. If I hit that person, 100% of my rights to do that. They've come at me, approached me, and I feel like it wouldn't go over well for me. I feel like
it's never going to end good for someone that is, a trained killer, dude. You've trained wrestling for a long time. You wrestled at the Division I level. Like,
yeah.
Not that's lethal weapon status. Like, you're a trained killer. You trained to know how to kill people. So, imagine you double someone in the streets, drop them on their head, they're dead, So,
yeah.
That goes back to the control and not letting them get to you, and no selling them, but yeah, if they get in your space, you got to defend yourself. You can't, but it's never going to go over well. You're right.
Yeah. Is there a line, like for you, like you've obviously said some pretty crazy things. Is there a line that you're not going to cross or won't cross?
I don't feel like I've said anything that crazy. I'll never cross the religion line. I'll never cross the racial line.
Kids,
I'll never ever say one thing racist in my life. It'll never happen. I have so many friends of different ethnic backgrounds that no one could ever even judge me or try and say that I'm racist. So why? What do you think that I've said that's controversial?
Well, I think the Brazil thing after the Maya fight was definitely that's I think where most people got up in arms. But
but let's look at the facts.
Yeah.
Let's look at what happened. I'm walking out to a cage, and the Brazil fans are spitting on me. They're saying, I'm going to fuck your mother. You will die. That's their famous chant. They always say, you vai more, you will die. So they're screaming at me, spitting on me, throwing their cups at me, grabbing my American flag out of the stands, which I love my American flag. Like, my grandfather served our country. I have a bunch of friends in the Army Rangers that serve our country and put their lives on the line. So that flag, I take that serious. And then they're yelling in the fight stupid things. It's like, dude, if you're going to dish it, you better be able to take it. Like, I gave it back to you. I didn't say anything out of line. I called them filthy animals. Oh, last time I checked, filthy animals was a great quote from the greatest movie of all time for the Christmas movies, Home Alone 2. And, if you can't, just because I'm calling you a filthy animal, what are you talking about? Brazil's not they're trying to say I'm racist for calling Brazilians filthy animals. Brazil's not a race. Brazil is a country, and that's not a racist thing. It's just me joking with you, and that's what show business is. And I gave them a show, man. Whether they want to say that they loved it or hated it, if they hated it, I gave them an outlet so their miserable lives, they could vent some frustrations out and try and scream at me and say I'm the root of all this and that. But I gave them an emotion, and even the people that hate it, they're my fans, and they actually loved it. That's why they embraced me like a king when I left the arena, and they all 20,000 packed to throw their $5 hot dogs and $5 Pepsis at me when I was walking out of the arena. And let's be honest, it's a third world country, so to give up those $5 hot dogs and $5 Pepsis, man, was a serious honor. So, as the King of Brazil and America's champion, I just want to say thank you.
I think it's crazy too because we just talked about this, but can you imagine if a Brazilian walked into an American stadium and people were yelling at him, saying things like filthy and tearing their Brazilian flag? That would never happen. But people will always talk about, oh, America's racist and discriminatory, and it just shows how privileged we are in America because these are issues that we are the top dogs in freedom, but for some reason, so many people are saying that we have zero freedoms. And that is a clear-cut example right there, is how people treated you in Brazil. That would never happen in America. Never.
But, that's why we're the land of the free, and freedom of speech, freedom of opinion, and it's people are trying to take those rights away. They're trying to take our guns away. They're trying to do all these stupid things, and it's they need to stop having a double standard. That's what it comes down to, is them believing that there's a double standard. And these are also the same people that cheat on their taxes, cheat on their wife, do stupid things, and they want to be the ones to make the laws and tell people what they should do. It's just so funny.
Yeah, absolutely. I also wanted to ask too, because I know for me this helps a lot, but does pissing people off make you feel better about a fight? Do you feel more confident when this guy's he's angry? Because I've had wrestling practices with people and I've wrestled with guys and I'm like, you know what? And maybe somebody's in your head a little bit, or you're facing that fear in a way, and it's pissing this person off is going to make me feel good about today.
Absolutely, man. I remember when I would piss guys off, in practice or in matches in college, and you could see when guys get emotional and they start wrestling emotional, they don't think rationally, they don't make good, smart wrestling decisions and techniques, and they just throw everything out the window, and then usually they end up gassing too. So, when you can really understand the psychology and be able to get inside someone's head, there's an art to that, and you're getting them off their game plan. They want to be fighting focused, and when you get them in their feelings and you say something to piss them off, they're not going to fight focused. They're going to fight, trying to fight like a street brawl, and they're going to gas themselves out, and they're not going to fight smart. And so, if you can get into someone's head, that is a huge advantage, because, it just is. You have to understand it.
I feel like for me, it almost takes from them and gives to me. Nerves go away. When you can just smile at somebody and look at them and say, yeah, you're about to be really upset with how this is going to go.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's a fun. It is. It's enjoyable. But so you've been doing that your whole career. It's nothing that just happened 3 years ago. It's a whole.
Oh, for sure. Go ask Coach Zaleski. He'll tell you, man. Go ask Coach Troy Steiner, man. They'll all tell you what I used to do in the Oregon State wrestling, man. I get people so pissed. Man, guys would be hitting me in the back. There was a kid, I'm not going to say his name because he's not even worth talking about. There was a kid, man, I was beating him so bad in practice one day. I was in his head so deep that we went to Gatorade to get the Gatorade, in the middle of practice and take our little break and our water break. And I'm getting water, back turned to the mat. And he comes over and punches me in the back of the head. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? And this kid was, so emotional. I was like, all right, let's fight, man. And then everybody held him back, and I didn't get to fight him, but I just kept beating his ass in wrestling the same day. But, it's just when you get in someone's head, man, they're going to think, they're not going to think rationally, and they're going to make mistakes, and they're going to do things that they're going to regret. And so, it's very important to know how to be able to get inside someone's head.
Yeah, you definitely can't fight angry, for sure.
No.
You can't wrestle angry. You can't really, there's very few things that you can compete at the highest level doing angry. You have to be pretty calm. And I'd say,
yeah, I would say the only really thing that I could imagine that you could do angry that it's going to help, your performance is maybe, some work in the bedroom, with the lady. I think that's really the only place where angry should be had. In sports, angry is not to be had in sports. So. Tip to all the dudes out there: if you want to get angry in the bedroom, let her get in your head, or some dude get in your head, just take it on your girl, give her an extra round. And especially since it's Valentine's Day, let's go with the theme, man. Make your girls happy again.
Oh my goodness, man. I don't know if you know this or not, but a lot of my viewers are Christians, and I'm going to have to put the big E next to this podcast for sure. But
hey,
it is.
They should. I'm Christian too. I believe in God. I love God, and all glory to God. But it's just, this is
Hey man, I
deeper to it.
I 100%. I told I intern at a church, and I said, if having if it's between having Colby Covington on and continue my internship, I'm gonna go with the Colby Covington route, because I think that would be hypocritical, like to not have a conversation with somebody because of their status politically or what they believe, and I don't have to compromise my faith in any way. I don't,
No.
and I agree with most of the things that you say. Like that's the bottom line. And we can have a conversation about it. And people that don't like what I think, like we should be able to have a conversation about it. And I think people being able to see that you can have a conversation with somebody, even if you disagree with them, is very valuable.
Absolutely. We could have a civil conversation, and you could disagree with me on some things, and that would be okay. I would be okay with that. I'm not going to try and change your stance on that. And you're never going to hear me ever try and change your stance on any type of, conversation that we ever have, whether we were on a podcast or not. So, I agree and believe that everybody should think freely with their own minds and go about their lives how they want. That, it's your life to live. We only get one life. So, but, going back to, how I'm saying, and maybe some Christian viewers might get mad, but they got to understand that you put a UFC fighter on the podcast, and let's talk about what I do for a living. I get locked inside of the steel cage in my underwear, and I go in there to put the other guy in the hospital. That's the objective of the game. So it's a brutal game. You go in there to take each other's brain cells. You're going in there to blood, put the guy unconscious, leave him in a hospital, kill him. Literally, you want to go in there and kill him. It's literally, that's what you're supposed to do. Like, go in there and kill the guy. And so if people are offended by what I say, then I would recommend that they don't tune in to what I do, because, what I do is a violent sport, and we have to build fights, and there's character, there's things you have to do to sell these fights. And, UFC is it's not for everybody. So to all the Christian viewers out there, all glory to God, but, fighting in the UFC is not for everybody, and no disrespect or harm meant.
Yeah, no, I've attested to that point too, because I get asked the question a lot, like, how do you rationalize being a Christian and wanting to get in the cage? And it's like, well, if you're going to ask that question, you got to ask a lot more. Like, how do you rationalize being a Christian and getting on a football field and running at somebody full speed? Like, how do you rationalize even wrestling? Like, there's a lot of things you got to rationalize, and I think a lot of people don't think of it that way. But yeah, I'm never going to shy away from conversation. And man, I appreciate you being on the show.
Absolutely, bro. It was a good time. It was a pleasure to talk to you, and maybe I'll see you in Oregon one day.
For sure, man. You'll man, maybe we'll see each other in Vegas soon.
That's true. We might just, man. I'll probably be there in a couple months.
I don't know if I'll be headlining any UFC shows in a couple months, but definitely here in the near future, my man. So,
hey, never stop believing, either one way or another.
For sure. One last question, man. I want to ask you, just to leave with everybody. What would you say your why is? Like, why do you continue doing what you do, and what do you want your legacy to be when you're done with it?
Why do I do it? I think I do it the most for me, and that's what it should be all about, is to leave my own legacy. And, when long after I'm done competing and off this earth, that people can remember me in one way or another, whether it's something hateful or loveful. I just tried to put on a show for everybody out there, and I want to leave this career and know that I gave my all, and that I didn't hold anything back, and I made the sacrifices to be the best I could be. So I'm doing it for me, and I want to, obviously, my family. It's very important to I have a family name to uphold. My grandfather flew in the Korean and Vietnam War, and so I'm a big supporter of the troops, the Navy, the Army, the Air Force, the Marines. So, I also do it for them. That's probably my biggest inspiration is the troops. I fight for the troops, and I fight for the Trumps. And and I draw inspiration from them every day. You know, I have talks with the Army. I go visit Army bases, go visit Navy ships, go visit, the Air Force and their jets. And, man, just seeing those guys, what they do for our country and what they put on the line, it makes fighting in the UFC seem like nothing. So thank you, the troops. Thank you, the Trumps. Christian, it's been a pleasure talking to you today. America's champ, the people's champ, Donald Trump's favorite fighter is signing out. Over and out, my brother.
God bless, Colby. Have a good one, buddy.
God bless.